Do.
Hello and welcome to Linebreak Rugby podcast. I'm your host Sav. Today on the comeback tour, shall we say, we have Ed and Fred, or WallopyJoe and Fetsack, because we're going to tie their Reddit names to themselves. Ed, if you want to say hello first.
My Reddit name has always been tied to my name. Why does Fred get special treatment now?
Fred always gets special treatment.
Fred gets special treatment.
Bullshit.
This is also the period of time that I've decided to check my levels, and so if my mic's jumping up and down, it's because I'm literally changing it live on the pod as we go, because I'm a genius.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine as well. Right, we're back. That's Fred's put a little thing about what we need to talk about.
Yeah, first thing and main thing is we're back.
We're back.
Hooray.
We haven't actually. I wrote something. What did I write?
Did you?
Oh,
yeah, the head knocks.
Yeah, the head knocks thing. But we haven't. I mean, that was literally just a spur of the moment. I thought I'd write something.
Oh, is that when you got really pissed at Bod?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it was interesting. So the same people, and we'll talk about this later. The same people that I'm having a small disagreement with on Twitter at the moment were the people who were having a go at Bod, and I agreed with them on that one. And they appear to be on the other side of the fence for this Munster Safa thing that they've got going on.
So just why don't you go straight into it and just tell us what it is? Because we've been pretending to read, but we haven't.
All right, so there's a South African, I don't know how you say his name, but Grobler, that's how it's spelt. He signed for Munster in July, maybe a while ago. Anyway, well, reasonable in 2017.
July, and that's when we last podded, isn't
it? Anyway, he signed a while ago, and a lot of people back then. Well, the argument is they willfully ignored it and didn't really talk about it. But this guy has essentially served a 2-year ban for taking steroids. He admitted to taking steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, anabolic steroids, whatever. He's taken a 2-year ban. He played for Racing for a bit, 20 caps or something, and then Munster signed him, and then he played for their A team, and then all these articles suddenly came out saying, how dare Munster let this player play? He's been doing drugs. He's a steroid cheat.
After he's observed his, or what's the right word?
He's done his 2-year ban.
So he's served his ban.
Yeah.
And 2 years that's not a short time. So
my issue, I can't remember his age. Yeah, that's something I should probably know. In fact, I've probably got the article up that says his age.
But
essentially my thought process. Yeah. And this isn't something. Someone made the comparison to me of Callum Clark at Saracens.
Yeah.
So Callum Clark willfully broke someone's arm.
Yeah, he shouldn't be playing again.
So this is that. So that was part of my thought. So the comparison was made that Callum Clark served his time, and now he's come back.
Yeah, but the time he served was bollocks. He got.
Did he get a year?
I know. I can still remember. It was laughable. He got given 26 weeks. It was given originally as 52 weeks, but it was brought down by 50% due to the fact that he'd had no priors, despite the fact that in the under-20s World Cup, I think I want to say, or World Championship, whatever it's called, he got red-carded for throwing his shoulder into someone's head, flying into a rolling maul.
Oh yeah,
and I think headbutting someone.
They lied about his age when he got another disciplinary action, didn't they?
I think it is absurd that he served such a short
ban. How did they lie
for...
about his age?
They basically said he wasn't an adult, but he was, or something.
That sounds.
Or it wasn't an adult competition or something. Anyway, they at the hearing or something. I can't remember. Anyway, the point, it wasn't really about Callum Clark, although I agree with you, Ed. I didn't personally. If Baxter, so this was the point I made. If Baxter had signed somebody like Callum Clark,
yeah,
I would have started to question my support for Exeter and my support for Baxter, particularly in his choice.
So you don't believe in redemption?
I think there are levels.
Not necessarily redemption. So there are levels. There's levels of redemption. So there's a lot of people in rugby, just generally rugby, who have never cheated, will never cheat. They want to get there clean, and they want to get there. They want to win on their own. And the idea that someone, I don't know if it's a weakness, because everybody gets the pressure to take drugs and to become better, right? Everybody has that pressure, and there's always going to be a pressure to be the best, and you can only do it through cheating. But I find it odd that we will give that person a second chance over somebody who has never done that ever.
Yeah, I think
because there are limited number of professional spots, whether we like it or not. This is not an unlimited sphere of rugby. There are limited number of contracts. There's a limited amount of money.
Yeah, and
there's plenty of players that have never done that.
Finite number of teams, finite number of players per team.
I don't follow your logic, actually. I think I follow your part about Exeter, about the team that you support, because you'd be disappointed that the team that you support doesn't have a culture of that sort of not accepting that person.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's you can't go back to rugby after serving a 2-year ban, I think you can. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I think
you need to be checked and show proper remorse. You can't just go back in and go like, yeah, that was 2 years on the dot, I'm back in.
So you're that I think, because that's the rule, I don't think that he personally or Munster personally should be held to account for bringing him back in. I'm not gonna. I think it's the problem is that I agree. I don't think it should be a moral crusade against Munster or this player in particular. I think it's so if you compare it to another sport. So you've got Justin Gatland. In 100 meters, I think it's Justin Gatlin.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. There's this idea that it's most of them. Also in cycling, and in the NFL.
No, it's not this idea.
You've got this. Well, you've got this picture of every single player, or every single person within that sport has some sort of tarnish to their name, and that's not true of rugby as it stands, right?
Yeah.
But there's still a known culture in the Welsh Valleys, or there's a known culture at university level rugby that drugs are prevalent, right?
Yeah.
And if we allow, in the UK, yeah. So if we've got this 20-year-olds who, I was playing school rugby at 16, and we had a 20-year-old running the line who was banned from playing because he had done drugs, and he was Southeast England or whatever, and he ended up being a bodybuilder instead. But the point being is that if he has a 2-year ban at age 20, he's then 22. You've then just got someone who did steroids at 20. He then went away, trained for ages, could maybe not necessarily doing steroids, but he's just training. He's done the steroids already. Comes back at age 22, and I'm not saying they're not redeemed, but if so many players are just doing that, they're taking that risk at 20. I can't see it having a healthy backlash on the sport. You know, there's going to eventually become this culture where everybody's done it at some point.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that.
But that's what we've got in other sports.
But it's I mean, as you say that it is. Well, I suppose really I'm probably being quite narrow-minded at the moment and just thinking about the top tiers of professionalism as opposed to, the valleys and the uni rugby. But I mean,
I think a lot of the idea of professional sports. I'm not saying it's PR, but it gets whitewashed as if it is a tier above. Now, it is a tier above in terms of care and probably in testing and everything. But it's all about, it's going to come down to the perception. And if we have a lot of people, and we haven't got that at the moment, so it's not really a huge issue. But if we do have a lot of people who end up doing bans and then coming back to the sport, we're going to end up in the same position where everybody thinks that everybody's doing it, which does break the sport itself.
But I suppose
I don't know where the line is, and I agree with some of the things that people are saying on Twitter that there needs to be a leeway and some form of redemption. but we have to really look at other sports and go, but they're in a mess. Like, their reputation has completely crumbled because of what's happened.
Yeah.
How do we stop it before that happens?
So you're making a big assumption that if you allow a cyclist to come back after a ban, then that's the problem. Whereas I'm ready to bet that if you don't allow anyone to come back after being banned in cycling, you'll still have the same problem. Allowing them to come back is not really the problem.
Well,
That's speculation.
I suppose that it is speculation because, yeah, there's this thing where people don't not commit murder because of the punishment. They don't commit murder because their moral compass, sort of thing. Yeah. Is that? Do you know what I mean? So I agree with you, kind of.
That's not really what I meant, but I do know what you mean. Yeah.
I want to try and make a brief, kind of related point, I suppose, with regards to allowing them to come back. That's a lot of
promises there, Ed.
What's that?
That's a lot of promises.
It is, but bear with me. I think just in the sense that, taking it back to Callum Clark very briefly, in the sense that I think, I'm not entirely sure where I come down on the drug issue, but I think if they serve their ban, and if they do clean up, I think I'm kind of all right with the idea of them, assuming they have been rehabilitated, to come back. Whereas in the case of Callum Clark, for instance, he almost ended somebody else's career, and in half a year he was back in the sport. And I feel like there's a certain level of hypocrisy is not the right word, but there's a certain maybe double standard in that, granted, the performance-enhancing drugs, the steroids, whatever, they are banned and they shouldn't be used, and you have to crack down and punish those that are doing it if they're caught. But whereas in, I suppose, the 100 metres, that directly affects the results of, various world records and whatever, I can't imagine it has quite the scale of impact, I suppose, on the game itself. This is purely theoretical, and obviously, but imagine, and it's obviously not true, but imagine that the whole New Zealand team was found to be doping, right? So what we would have then is clear and obvious evidence of why after 60 minutes they become the better team. Well,
do you know what I mean?
No, because
their skill set might be the same. But their skill set might be the same. Yeah. But then because they've got a better aerobic whatever in place, they're able to keep performing at that high level after 60 minutes.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of cheating, is that you don't know what would have happened. And that's the whole hard thing with cheating. It's the same at the in cycling. It's a big thing. It could go like, for example, say 4 guys on a Lance Armstrong Tour de France, and the second one, third one, fourth guy, all get banned, later for drugs. So the guy who arrived 5th is officially champion for that year. Yet that guy did not beat the others. So he wasn't first on at the finish line. So in his head, he never won, and it's incredibly unfair. But it's just he just never won. So that's the problem with cheating with drugs, is that no one wins. Literally everyone loses.
Yeah, that race is kind of, because obviously you race to whatever the conditions were. He could have been drafting someone who'd been cheating the whole time, and therefore riding their wind or whatever. These sorts. I know what you mean. Like that race is forfeit.
Even in a sport where there is no contact, there's nothing. There is still an impact on having another person on the track. So for example, in the 100-meter dash. So whatever happens, whatever sport, if someone cheated and they're at the top, it messes everything up. Everything, and no one wins. So
following that. And I don't want to put too much pressure on this one guy at Munster, because again, it's not his fault. He's done his 2 years and he's come back. But say, for example, that he has had long-term positive effects from whatever anabolic steroids he has, which is possible. I'm not huge on biology.
I don't know much, but I would doubt that, to be honest.
Okay, but if he's trained at that level and whatever it's come through, then aren't we getting where a similar situation to how Gatland's become better as he got older, and therefore when you look at that and you go, this guy has then competed in that match, is that not bringing down everything within that match? Like we're not sure about how he has changed as a person due to what he has done previously. Because Gatland might be completely clean now, but he's not following the trend of what 100-metre runners should be able to do at the age of 35 or 36. He's getting quicker, which is not normal. And he's officially clean at this point. So are we not seeing a positive effect from him previously taking drugs?
It took me about halfway through your argument to realise you were talking about Gatlin and not Gatland.
Gatland, yes. The Welsh rugby.
Why are you talking about Gatland running? It doesn't make any sense.
Would it do you not need... My knowledge on this is ropey at best, so forgive me for any instances of getting anything incorrect at the moment, but do you not need some sort of an actual sustained period of use to actually see measurable effects? Because if you just... I mean, again, I would need to have it, actually. I mean, the good thing is I think I would have access to most of these papers if I actually had bothered. I mean, what's happened is I've essentially had a chat or a discussion on Twitter, and then we've come on to podcast about it. I haven't actually done enough research to talk about it. This is a great starting off point for
really,
our first
it's really opinion based rather than fact based, which I'm free to admit.
Which is the basis of all podcasts.
It is that. I mean, if you're podcasting from a point of fact, then you're not podcasting right. But yeah, I think it's one of the and the other thing that's happened, and again we'll move on quite quickly to Bastereau and what he's done. But the other problem that I had is that all the discussions in Ireland were these Leinster journalists all having a pop at Munster for lacking moral integrity and stuff, and then Munster people would have a pop back saying, "Oh, you weren't talking about this in July. Why are you only bringing it up now? This lacks journalistic integrity to bring it up now."
Yeah.
And there was this weird backwards and forwards
Bit of a
about
bullshit response.
Yeah, but there was exactly there was this weird like a battle of regions or something that I just didn't really understand, and nobody was talking about.
Clearly, this is something you should have consulted Harble on.
Yeah,
Are you saying that no one understands Irish politics?
Yeah,
that's always been true.
Basically, there was something that's just the Irish were just going off at each other, and I was very confused about that. And nobody seemed to be talking about the actual drug thing. They all seemed to be talking about morals and other things. And I kind of got lost in a trail of... I was reading a lot of different threads, and it all just started to get a little bit... I got bored of it, particularly. I mean, I just wanted people to start actually talking about the drug usage and how it impacts the game, rather than integrity of journalists, which I don't really care about particularly. I mean, journalists are rubbish, or they're not, whatever.
Talk about that. Murray Kinsella's back.
Murray Kinsella's back. Let's talk about something less controversial.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. Good insight. Him and Charlie Morgan, and who else is quite good? Dead Ball Area. Those three are pretty good.
Was it that used to do the what was it called? The ruck marks for one of the Ireland websites.
The ruck marks.
Yeah, there was. I can remember it was the Six Nations from I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago that they first started getting big, where someone was analysing the Irish team's statistics at the ruck and assigning them points as to, tackler, whether they were present at the ruck, whether they were clearing it out or something.
All right.
And I don't remember that, but I'd be keen to read that.
There were a couple. They were really interesting, and just it kind of, in fact, it must have been either 2013 or 2014, because I think it was one of the years they won the Six Nations. That I started noticing it most, and it's just the guy basically outlining that how much Ireland was committing to the breakdown, the fact that they kept on consistently winning the breakdown, and how much there was a correlation between how they were scoring in his system and the positive effects the team was benefiting from. I'll try and find it for you.
I would. I'll try and find it now. See that. Harble tried to. So I went to Dublin to watch Exeter lose in the Aviva,
and didn't podcast.
And didn't podcast. I did record a lot of Irish pubs though. I have so much footage on my phone of us wandering into Irish pubs, drinking, and then leaving swiftly after. One thing I've learned is that an Irish pub, I think by definition, there are two definitions I figured out, has a wooden floor. The music isn't necessarily standard, but the fact that there's always a back entrance or a back exit, every single pub, every single one has a weird back entrance that you can escape through.
What's your theory?
I don't know. I feel like an adulterous Irishman can go in there, have a pub, his wife comes in the front, the barman lets him know and he escapes out the back.
Have a pub.
Out the pub, yeah. That's my theory. Because it was never like, the doors were never near each other. The exit and the entrance were very much completely different like ways. And it was really bizarre, but I loved it. It was brilliant. And Harble tried to introduce me to the Leinster analyst who I saw sitting in the box because Harble went to school with him. But we never ended up meeting up for some reason. I think we got a bit drunk.
Oh, that's a shame.
It was a shame. He was one of the people that I wanted to talk to the most, to be fair, because I really loved the sound of his job. He basically analysed line-outs and forwards mauls and things like that, and tried to figure out how to beat the opposition's setup. The enemy.
That actually sounds so good. I'm so jealous.
I mean, his job sounds amazing, right?
And the way Harble talks about
line-outs are better than rugby, I think.
Just have a sport called line-outs at the Olympics.
I'd seriously do that. Sometimes at training, I get bored of what we're doing, and I just want to do line-out.
So shall we talk about something as controversial, which is Bastareaud then?
Yeah, I mean, is it really that controversial?
I think the ban...
The ban's quite short, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. The ban is way too short.
For a quick level of clarification, how long did Marler get for calling...
2 weeks.
He only got 2 weeks, because that's kind of
and
lenient as well, isn't it?
I think there's a big difference in I can't say in intent because I don't know either of their intent, but in what Marler said and what Bastareaud said, and I feel like Marler's words were quite direct, whereas Bastareaud's,
I see what you mean.
Whereas Bastareaud's were. What has unfortunately become a generic insult.
You mean like in the same way that kids in school would just call each other gay because...
Exactly, without realising...
that was very 2008. That was very much a 10-year ago thing, and I feel like we've kind of moved through that. Because that feels like it was a massive thing on YouTube in 2008, 2009.
But it still is. It still is. It's a thing. It's the sort of thing. You know, I work in a school. That's the sort of thing that you hear every day, and that is a big talking points amongst adults. How to fight that. How to educate on not only not using the words "gay" as meaning something different, but also the specific word that Bastareaud used has a very precise meaning, and most people have no idea what it means.
But I also think that, so not to say that using gay as an insult is, I think the indication is that we're able to say that freely. I think the word that he particularly used, we're not happy or comfortable saying anyway, just casually. And to me, it's not even a word that I would. So imagine. I mean, let's think about it again. We shouldn't have to imagine, but imagine Nigel Owens was the ref in that game. I feel like the incident would be taken way more seriously. I feel like there would be a huge amount of uproar. Nigel Owens would be furious. He probably would have been sent off on the day. I think he would have
sent him off, but the point of even the short ban is to say that it should have been a red card. And I completely agree with it. Like, I have no problem with that. You know, he uses words that he shouldn't use, and that he should know... And he should know exactly what it means. He might not, but it's not acceptable, and he should have been sent off straight away. That's absolutely sure. I think the ban should be longer. But it is important to, when you compare it to the Marler incident, I think there's like that the Marler incident should have been much longer as well. So I'm not actually trying to compare them and saying one is worse than the other, because what's the point? My actual point is both are really bad, and unacceptable, and should be.
All right, just stick an extra 10 weeks on both of them and move on.
Is it kind of bad of me that I know it's really weird to try and argue the semantics of either side of it, but to me, mate, I don't want to say that there's some Harlequins or England bias in there, but to me, Bastareaux's comes off as a lot worse. And I know that what Marler said was specifically targeted at. It was Samson Lee, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. I don't know whether it's just the type. I know I've read a lot of comments of people saying that Marler is dirty and a thug and just a bit of a dickhead, but the language used, the way he used it, to me it almost comes off as a schoolboy insult as opposed to Bastareaux's, which feels a lot more. The phrasing of it feels like there's a lot more bite behind it.
But the persona of Marler, and this is a way that he would frame himself to get out of trouble, perhaps as a schoolboy, is to give that off, give that aura of just winding you up. But the issue being is that because he's using that language, people are growing up with that on their TV screens, and they think that that's a normal banterous thing to say. And obviously,
I suppose even if it is banterous, you want to cut it out anyway. So
I think you said something really important there, that it's about the language used being normalized, and that's the whole thing. I heard somebody say, right, which is worse, like getting injured on purpose or getting called name, as if what Bastareaux said was calling someone a name. It isn't. What the problem is isn't that he insulted someone. The problem is that the words that he used are used as a really horrible discrimination against other people. It's not about having insulted the opposition 7. Like, if he'd called him a effing C, the ref would have been like, calm down, and that's it, and no ban whatsoever.
Yeah, but the fact that it's normalising
exactly, that's
an
the
insult.
problem.
So
it's not the fact that he called someone a name, that's the problem.
And I think there was the perfect comment, which I'm sure you must have read going by the argument you've just made, that one of the comments I saw on the subreddit was that if there are any, young players coming through school or uni who are gay, who identify that way, and they are hearing professional players insult each other in such a manner, that at that age of development it might actually hamper how they see themselves, or how they see themselves within the realms of the sport itself, and whether they belong there.
Yeah, especially as an up-and-coming teenager, if that starts getting thrown around when you're 13, 14, like just casually in a game of rugby, and people are throwing around that word, you're going to feel uncomfortable, you're going to feel unwelcome on that pitch. And that in itself, never mind, and on top of the normalisation and the fact that it is oppressive towards these people, it's just a huge negative on the game. And to go, oh, okay, that's 3 weeks ban. I feel like he's not. I mean, there's punishment, but it's not a big punishment. He's not missing a big chunk of his season. I feel like there's not a lot of comeback on him. He's got a lot of. I mean, Andy Good made a lovely hypocritical statement on Twitter, having used the word himself.
I think it's
6 years ago.
Yeah, but come on, you've got to. Granted, I've disagreed with a lot of what I've heard Andy Good say over the years, and I do think he is a bit. I think he gets. Granted, he's now basically become a meme on the sub, but I think he gets lauded far more than he deserves. But I think it's kind of. Granted, at his age, 6 years is a lot less.
6 years doesn't mean anything. He's 40. Was he 40?
Well, yeah, that's so. At his age, 6 years is a lot less significant than were he.
It's like if someone's 22, if someone's 22,
well, Bastareaux's nearly 30,
all the way
isn't
back.
he?
Oh yeah, I mean, both of them as bad as each other, because I think Andy Good has said it at the same age as Bastareaux.
Yeah,
Bastareaux is now, and he's decided to call him out on it. But in 6 years' time, Bastareaud could now apparently, by everybody's moral standing, condemn someone for saying the same thing. Whether or not he's changed.
You know what? He should. If Bastareaud in 6 years hears someone else say it, he can absolutely call them out.
Well, yeah,
he will call them out, but he wouldn't. But he wouldn't have. He would still be a hypocrite.
Well, sure, but that's the thing I was trying to point out.
You can call someone out without being on a high horse.
I don't think Andy Good is necessarily being a hypocrite, because although 6 years in respect to his age is no longer a big thing, it is still 6 years ago.
He was so angry about it. Did you see him on Twitter?
Yes, I have, and I've seen it.
He was so
like, I think Andy Good's an absolute dick, but you can't blame him.
You can't condemn his behaviour here.
For changing his behaviour.
Yeah, you condemn what he was 6 years ago, but bear in mind that was still, and the point, it's, as I say, 6 years...
It felt like a... I don't know. I don't want to call it an overcompensation, but if you
but it's not that.
It probably was an overcompensation.
It felt like it, because I was sitting there, and suddenly, even at the time, I hadn't seen the tweets that Glove eventually uncovered or whatever. But I kind of read that and went, "That's a bit strong from Andy Good."
Have you seen the video? He's reacting live, and he reacted straight away saying, that's not okay. And I think his reaction was good.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It was good to react negatively to it, but I don't know. It's from so for example, I feel like when Flats responded to it, he was quite quick to say. First of all, he said that's naughty. Then he processed it and said, "Yeah, that's shameful. That shouldn't happen on a rugby pitch." I thought that was the response.
No, that was Andy Good's response.
No, I thought that wasn't Flats in Flats was in commentary, wasn't it?
That's Good said that. Good is the one who said that's naughty, and then a second later said, "Whoa, actually, that's not naughty. That's
I thought that
really
was
not okay."
I thought that was Flats on commentary, not
no,
Good.
I think
Do they
that
sound
was
the same though? Do they?
Point I was trying to make.
That was Andy Good.
At the very least, is that we shouldn't be condemning. Okay, should be condemning Bastareaud's actions that got him the ban, and in this particular example, Good's behaviour 6 years ago. But despite the 6 years being a less significant amount of time now to Good, it is still 6 years ago, and so it could have changed. And even if he's not,
I can't ever laud. I agree, but I can't ever
be condemning the
I think
behaviour of Good
if I'm going to get
instance.
behind someone who's going to be turning against Bastareaud, I'm not going to get behind Andy Good. Do you know what I mean?
You don't need to do that. You don't need to agree with everything. Like when somebody says something that you agree with, you don't need to agree with everything they've ever said.
No, but it helps. I know what you mean. It helps me.
This isn't politics.
I think just at a person. Yeah, I know, but just on a personal level, like it helps me to understand them as a person, and for them to have used these phrases before just casually.
Think of the redemption, Sav.
Yeah. See, I'm not big on redemption. You see.
How long have you played amateur rugby, Sam?
Oh, too many years. 20...
How many times have you heard something like that on the pitch?
I've never heard someone. I've heard nonsense.
Not necessarily this.
I haven't heard a homophobic or a racial slur. I've heard a lot of abuse. And probably, and to be fair, if we're going to include gay and homophobic slurs, then probably I have heard the word gay tossed around quite a lot.
Countless times. I have no idea how many times I've heard it.
Yeah, that is a big problem in rugby, to be honest, and that is a very big barrier to participation for obviously a subset of the population of the country, really, and that's a problem that we need to deal with.
And 3 weeks is not dealing with it.
Yeah, 100%. I think we all probably agree with that.
But I think the target it would be more intelligent to give him a lengthy ban, but not ridiculous, but a fairly lengthy ban to make a point. Mm-hmm. But there's more time to be spent on talking about it and educating what it is and what it means. Because again, there's no chance Bastareaud knows what the historical context behind that word in English. There's no chance.
No, probably not. But I don't think.
But it doesn't make it. It doesn't make it acceptable.
Yeah, that doesn't affect him his ban. It should just be.
Yeah. So instead of concentrating on him as a person, we should concentrate on why it's not okay, and why it's not in, and why it's punished.
We'll roll on because I think we've now chatted about controversies forever. I haven't heard of this. It's not your next one. It's the Wasps Cash Splash.
Is that not just about sops, or is that something more?
Is that just Sapawanga?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sopawanga. Where is Cipriani going? That's an interesting
France.
one. You
I
like the
thought
no
Cipriani
facts
was off to
chat.
France.
We can go on to there with that.
Yeah, Cipriani's moving to France. It's either shit. I read it I can't remember which club. I just know
You
France.
can't find it, but he's off to France.
Who would put money? Like, who would want Cipriani? I personally wouldn't. And I'm a Wasps fan. I probably wouldn't want Cipriani on my team.
Yeah, I
want someone a little bit smarter.
I loved Cipriani. So was it circa 2012, circa 2014?
He debuted in 08, yeah? Was it 08 or 07 he debuted?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
When he was flying for just before he left for the Rebels, like he got in a load of trouble, and then he went to the Rebels and he was playing quite good rugby, and then he came back. I feel like there was a prime Cipriani of which we never. I don't know.
I think around 2014 and 2015.
Because Wasp with Cipriani in the last 2 seasons have been better, despite the fact that I think Gopperth is one of the best players in the league.
I think Gopperth
Cipriani
is the shining light.
Still brings even more. He's absolutely phenomenal.
It does help though that they've got Wade and Bassett.
If you're buying a Big Ten and you're splashing a lot of cash on it, I'm going to go for someone who is a bit more stable and a little bit more intelligent than Cipriani.
Yeah,
like Sapawanga.
Yeah, Sapawanga. I think Sapawanga for Wasps. That's one of the best signing. The issue, and this is probably an issue you've got with Cipriani. Defensively, Sapawanga is an absolute nightmare. You will have to hide him against big players. He doesn't tackle big players really. That's a huge issue.
Yeah, I mean it's all right if they're playing Leicester. The backs aren't getting the ball anyway. So,
do you know? Oh, we could talk about Matt O'Connor.
I'm not doing coaches chat because I just we don't have any facts. That's all we do is oh yeah, this coach is good, this coach is bad, but we don't know anything that they do.
Well, no, because I went to Leinster, right? Obviously to watch the Exeter game, and we met a bucket load of Leinster fans. Like Harble introduced me to a couple of the Redditors, and every time Matt O'Connor's name got brought up, it didn't matter particularly that they won something, which they did. I can't remember what they won, but they won something.
Stand him, could they?
But they hate him. They hate him with a passion. There's so much hatred for this man, and I'd never thought about it or even acknowledged it, but they hate him. And then Leicester have picked him up again after he was he the deputy head coach or something behind Cockerell?
Something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
He was like the assistant. Anyway, he's come back and he's in Leicester fold, and now Leicester are kind of falling apart, and they only ever use the forwards, and they've got the best back line probably in the whole league, but they don't use any of them.
Is May still the highest try scorer this season?
I think Josh Adams is.
No, Adams is top, and then May, and then maybe Woodburn.
So Leicester are doing something right at any rate. But
well,
that might be more on an individual level, though, isn't it?
May is playing brilliant, yeah.
Well, who have they've got? Ford, Tamua, May.
Ford's not been playing brilliantly though recently, has he?
No, not really.
He's been kicking off the tee. I think he'll be fine in the England setup. I just don't think Matt O'Connor knows what to do with him, because he's a creative 10, and Matt O'Connor's life has been built around someone like Toby Flood, which is like so Blair. Like,
don't go insulting Toby Flood.
Yeah, but you just kick to the corner and you kick to posts.
And you run to posts.
And you run it. Exactly. But it's not George Ford. Like, Toby Flood and George Ford are at I think, polar opposite 10s.
I don't know, but clearly something's not quite working, because when you've got Ben Youngs giving it to George Ford with Matt Tamu and Manu Tuilangi behind it.
Assuming Tuilangi's fit.
Why? Yeah, assuming fit, but I can't even believe that he's been playing for more than 2 games. That's absolutely beyond me. I thought he was retired.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite an amazing backline.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know who's on the other wing, and they've got Vianu at fullback. Like, it's just a ridiculous backline.
Well, he's broke his jaw now, hasn't he? But yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's just a bit of a mess for Leicester at the moment, and then we can cycle back and talk about Wasps. Wasps are in a bit of a problem.
Yeah, and Wasps are losing a few players, so that they've had a few signings out, and it seems like they are right now missing a lot of players of injury.
Yeah.
And it seems to me from far away that they're going to look a bit light in the pack. Carr is gone.
Yeah.
End of contract. So I think he's going back to South Africa.
Who's that?
Nizam Carr.
Okay.
Number 8.
Mm-hmm. But you'll have Hughes.
Guy
Reader.
Thompson is leaving.
Is Guy Thompson leaving? Okay.
Apparently, yeah. Who else? I think basically they need a bit more front rows.
Yeah. Well, you've got Ashley Johnson at the moment.
Oh yeah, but Ashley Johnson is Superman.
He just plays everywhere, doesn't he?
Just because, very briefly, I'm never actually sure. Is he a flanker that sometimes plays hooker, or is he actually a hooker that sometimes plays flanker?
He's a flanker that has converted to hooker and sometimes plays flanker.
Yeah.
Right.
Is he like Dave Ward?
No, don't do that.
Dave
don't
Ward is a hooker.
Don't do that. That discredits Ashley Johnson. I don't know what Dave Ward is at the moment, but he just... Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
I've watched so little of Quins recently, but I watched the Northampton game.
You know what? I think it's quite an unfair treatment that Dave Ward gets, because he's clearly a good hooker. And then there's so many injuries that they play him on the flank, and he does an okay job, and he's being told that he's super shit.
It's not super shit, but the job he does at flank is...
And it's really unfair, because if you put any other hooker from Premiership level on playing 7, they would look a lot worse.
Well,
apart from
fair
Ashley
enough.
Johnson.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, can you imagine Dylan Hartley playing 7?
Yeah. Well, I could imagine Jamie George.
I can imagine Jamie George playing 8.
I think Jamie George is, I don't know.
Or 6.
Yeah, 8, yeah. To be fair.
Cowan Dickey could play.
Quite
Cowan
frankly,
Dickey could play 7.
I think Jamie George could play anywhere in the back line and he'd be fine. So, and I'm only half joking, because I've seen him pass and I've seen him kick.
He'd struggle on the wing.
He'd struggle for pace for about, as a wing he might only last about 10 minutes, if that. But I think
I disagree. Backs don't need any fitness. They need speed.
It's not fitness. He just wouldn't have any pace off the line. I mean, if he's coming up against... I'm trying to think of who's the slowest winger? Who is the slowest winger we know?
Noel.
Matt Banahan?
Jack Noel might be.
No,
Noel is many things, but quick is not his greatest
He's not
aspect.
slow. He's evasive, and he can beat most people.
He is one of my favourite wingers, because he's got an incredible step and he will go through people. Because going into contact, he makes a surprising amount of yardage. So he doesn't actually need speed. I don't think you can call Noel
slow.
He's not slow, but I mean a winger, though, because there's not many wingers that lack a yard of pace. And I'm not saying Noel lacks a yard, but maybe like a quarter of a yard or a half a yard of pace. I actually think yard's probably a little bit slow.
If you compare Noel to, say, Noel to Watson or May or even Brown, even Joseph, and he'd lag behind.
Brown is actually not very quick.
Is he not?
No.
It's been a while. He looks quick when he runs.
Brown slowed. He was quick in 2015.
He's got a really quick acceleration, but then not really.
So if we maybe Matt Banahan was the cool.
Okay, fine. So
slow winger.
1-on-1, Jamie George versus Matt Banahan. I'd still pick Jamie George to come out on top of that. Though I suppose it depends on where at the pitch. And where the other defenders are.
Actually,
that would be a funny situation. Give him 15 metres, Matt Banahan, Jamie George. Let's go.
I used to like Mike Banahan, but now I do.
Well, there was that try that we saw recently, that highlight try that he took above his head and just put down like a beaut.
Yeah, I think he's been a good player.
Yeah, he's a good servant.
Yeah.
As long as he's not getting, as much as I love that people get their caps for England and whatever, as long as he's not getting them anymore, then that's lovely.
I can still vaguely remember the hype around the time when he was getting capped originally for England.
And then he got tackled by Shane Williams over the line and people stopped.
Yeah.
But I can remember the hype around Vinokola.
Yeah, I was thinking
That
of
was
him
what,
as well.
2007?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
so
don't
there's,
know.
you know, he was still playing with Johnny.
Yeah. I
Was it a
miss
John?
Johnny.
There was a John. Was there a Johnny Crossfield kick to Vinokola? Set the world
idea.
on
You know
fire,
who I
maybe?
really liked and just kind of disappeared into obscurity? Was Paul Sackey.
Oh, Paul Sackey. He was walking his dog round. So he's a Wasps boy. He was walking his dog round my local rugby pitches on a Sunday morning when I was coaching the under-9s.
But it...
Because he lived in the area, and all the kids ran up for an autograph, and he just stared around with his dog and decided to sign some, which
Fair
was
enough.
quite cool.
More power to him. But
Yeah,
yeah,
then
he
went
seemed
to,
like a
he
decent
went to
bloke.
Stade
And
Francais at the end of his career.
yeah, I can still remember
Yeah.
a crossfield kick that he scored a try off.
I know a couple of years ago he was still an ambassador for Wasps. So you know how some of their ex-players go around clubs and go to year dinners or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing. I know he was doing that for Wasp about a couple of years ago, so probably still is.
All right.
That's quite cool.
If
Do
we're...
you know the funniest thing that I ever heard is that Michael Owen is an ambassador for Liverpool, and he, at one point in his career he played for Manchester United.
Wow,
If you
we
say
really
so.
don't care.
Yeah,
can
that's-
give a
oh,
fuck.
to a Liverpudlian, that's like heresy.
If you say so.
Anyway.
Yeah, but when you're a football fan, if you're in front of a famous football player, it doesn't fucking matter who he played for.
That's true, I suppose.
It's only when he's on
Um,
TV that they insult them.
God, this
Oh,
took
well,
a
that's
weird
true of
tangent.
everybody.
If we're going on tangents-
So yes, bring it in a big circle.
Yeah.
You sit this Grobler guy in front of me, and I'm not going to say that he should never play rugby again.
No, you don't ever say that to Safa.
Yeah, but just
Think of your
generally
life.
speaking,
Takeaways built on.
I don't want to talk about it on the personal level. I want to talk about it more on the wider scale.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, I've no issue with him coming back actually on personal level.
So the last, well, won't do general predictions. We got to wrap this up in about
could-
10
we
minutes.
could
I don't
try
know
general
how long
predictions.
how long have we recorded for? 47? Yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we've talked about absolute nonsense for 40 minutes or so.
Controversy for half of that.
You've got Racing 1 foot in the future, 1 foot in the past. Are you talking about Cruden? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
No. I was talking about I was thinking about the new stadium. So you've seen? Have you
Oh, here's
have you seen
Montpellier
at least
anyway. Yeah, go
one
on.
game happen at the U Arena?
No, I haven't watched anything French.
There's been a few games now, and
Okay.
there was Racing Munster, so that's European Cup, so no excuse.
Yeah.
Is it not
at
selling
the
out?
U Arena. And basically, so it's
Sell it out.
artificial pitch.
Yeah.
It's a closed stadium roof.
Okay.
Yep.
And there's one quarter, so there's one try line behind which there are no seats. It's just a giant 45-meter wide screen
Okay.
No seats at all.
Oh, I think
No
I saw
seats.
pictures of that.
on one side, and the rest, so the other 3/4 have seats. And what happens
Surely-
is, so they've got all of the lights and all of the effects, and it looks really great, and everything is so modern and so good looking. Basically, it's a concert hall as well.
Yeah, I was going to say
Okay.
that makes it the perfect by having, assuming it's by. You said it's behind the try line, so one of the short stands isn't there, and it's just screens and
That's exactly
electronics.
it. So you can have a concert right in front of the
yeah.
screen, and they can play the replays or whatever
And it's
on that
artificial
giant screen.
At an artificial pitch,
Oh
it means
my
that they don't
God.
It
damage
is.
anything. And
So the whole thing is gorgeous.
Imagine Nigel Owens having his face on that 45-meter screen. He's loving it.
You could read his personalised boots on that screen.
He would be absolutely. He'd be showing everything. He'd be doing all the moves. We'd get a proper. That would be like the Gladiator Arena. He'd be putting on a proper show.
Yeah,
are you not entertained?
Exactly.
but you really should watch a game, because it sort of looks, because it's artificial, and what they do is they do this sort of NBA thing where the crowd isn't lit. So you can't really see the crowd. They're all in black. You can only see the stage, which is the rugby pitch.
Uh-huh.
And it sort of looks empty, which is a bit of a shame when the stadium is actually full. And when, for Racing Munster, you could hear the Munster fans. And I think it would have been really nice to see the contrast in the colours of the red of Munster and the light blue and white of Racing. I think it would have made actually something really nice to see. and it's just a little bit of a shame that we can't see that.
Yeah.
But the other thing was the last time, and that's the foot in the future. Like it looks futuristic. The home changing room is like a 5-star hotel. They've got their names,
cool.
birthday, kids'
I mean,
pictures.
that blew me away about Leinster as well. They've kind of got a tiny village which the RDS is in, but that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
It really confused me. Like there was a small village of hotels and pubs and things, and then the ground.
Oh, but no,
yeah,
but what I mean is the changing room is like this huge room with a massive table in the middle, physio rooms. There's like even between the change room and the corridor to get onto the pitch, there's like this big area with what do you call the soft thing on the floor?
Carpet.
With carpet, yeah, with sort of carpet, so they can actually run around in their
French
studs
showing his Frenchness there. That was
inside.
You should have said the French word, and then we'd have all just assumed that we knew.
You would have had no idea what it is. Anyway,
Say the French word anyway.
and then they showed Claremont, who were in the away change room, and the away change room is smaller than my bedroom. It is 3 meters by
hilarious.
2.
I like that. It's
like you couldn't fit the whole team. Like even without the subs, you could barely fit 15 players in there.
That's so
It's-
sad.
And it's one of those where I assume that there's no door on the shitter, and all the Racing props are told to go have a shit in there before the game.
This is slightly relevant. I did a tour of the Twickenham Stadium a couple of years ago, and the difference between the home changing rooms and the away changing rooms is quite stark. But I think one of the things they mentioned is that the away changing room is built on a very, very slight incline, so that it's not even ground. Just so to kind of throw off the people that go in there. It's much smaller.
so
It's just
You're
like-
off kilter.
I know that they've said when asked about it, the Racing people have said, oh yeah, everywhere in the top 14 it's like that, hostile environments or whatever for the away teams, and you go like, but you've just made this brand new stadium.
what they
new.
should
You
have
don't
said,
have an excuse of saying this is the 1960s
No.
rugby.
What they should have
This is
said
traditional.
is that they just ran out of money after building the home changing room.
Jackie Lorenzetti will never ever run out of money.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, dear.
that won't happen. It's just ridiculous, and it's just such a shitty little thing. When Brian Mujati has explained that they get their, like at their training ground, which is absolutely gorgeous as well, the Racing training ground.
Yeah.
Basically, they get like sort of big hotel room. I can sleep in the afternoon between 2 training sessions, with fresh sheets and everything. They are not running out of money. They
No,
just
obviously
don't
not.
care.
There's and we can talk about this more in depth. There's a huge disparity between say the Saracens, the Racing, the Stade Francais, Montpellier, like
Exeter.
money, and then compared to the Exeter, Northampton. I don't know who else is running on a budget. Maybe Sale. Who's Dean Richards?
Sale have
Worcester,
quite a
maybe?
few big names.
I thought I don't know whether it's relevant, but isn't there only
Only Exeter and Northampton are the ones running a profit.
Oh yeah.
Saracens are bankrolled by a billionaire from South Africa through a holding company. It's really complicated, actually. I saw someone tweeting about this.
Is that the kind of thing that means that they've all got, even if they are all, if they are properly observing the salary cap, they are all still earning way more because all of their wives and girlfriends are employed in like not real companies, and they're all got enterprises on their own names or something. And
It's not necessarily that. So it's basically, the idea is that Saracens will continue to fight to extend the amount of money that they can put in, or whatever. In whatever circumstances, they have essentially an unlimited budget.
yeah,
So they will always try and push whatever that budget that's given to them up and up and up. So and essentially quite a few other clubs are quite interested in doing that as well, because they are not the plaything, but they're basically the hobby of a South African billionaire who puts money into a holding company. That holding company then invests in Saracens via some other CEO or whatever. And to the tune of like he's a proper billionaire, so investing like 50 million to him is kind of pocket change. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that's how much he's doing, but if he was, he could just throw that in there and that would be his hobby, and he could watch Saracens win a bucket load of rugby matches. So Saracens are always going to try and push whatever the boundary is, and I'm not saying that they're paying wives and girlfriends through these means, but they're always going to be interested in the club being allowed to spend more money. So when you hear about clubs complaining about this, that, and the other, and suddenly you see Saracens is at the forefront of complaining about something, just remember they're trying to get to the point where money doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, that's their goal, because to them money already doesn't matter. I think that's why they were able to get, what was it, Will Skelton or someone else, like for a 4-month loan.
Skelton was there for a really short time, and now he's back for a long time.
Oh right.
Yeah, but those sorts of things where they're able to just go, yeah, we'll pay your wage, like just casually they're like, yeah, we'll pay your wages and whatever for this couple of months, and you can come play for us, and then you can drift off. But we're happy to spend this amount of money on you playing for our team. I don't know. It's really that's the sign of someone who has money to be able to throw around. It's interesting. Saracens as a club, they're doing good things for English rugby. Their academy seems really good. They're bringing players up. They're playing a style that obviously wins. But, you know, they're also introducing a lot of excess money into the game, which a lot of other teams are trying to compete with, which is hard. And Wasps is one of them. That's why they're buying Sopawanga.
No, I know what you just said.
They're buying Sopawanga.
I'm sure if I had that kind of money, just if you had that kind of money, do you not think you might want to buy a rugby team and just have fun with it in the same kind of way?
Yeah, I would.
Granted, that's probably the wrong angle to think of it at, but it's.
I think there's something to be said about
the Exeter Savs.
It comes down to wanting like the competition to exist. So something that footballers and football, it's also something actually that the Aviva Prem people hang on to with these gloves. Like, we're better than the Pro 14 because anyone can beat anyone. That thing is kind of cool, right? The idea that Worcester could go out and beat Saracens on any given Sunday.
Harlequins could go out and beat Saracens. Who'd see that coming?
Whereas the idea of the Kings going out, or Treviso or Zebra, in fact they've actually recently been winning some games and stuff like that. But the previous years that's not been the case. But now I feel like the Pro 14 has come into its own.
Yeah. And
I don't think the Premiership can hold on to that anymore as being the only thing that makes it better.
I don't think. Well, I think.
Because London Irish aren't beating
anybody.
anybody.
As to whether or not it's better is wholly subjective, though. You can't.
No, but it's still this thing that anyone can beat anyone is really cool. And I think the idea of having a superpower, say a Man City or a Man United, were, this one club with huge amounts of money and talent and everything.
But I mean, in fairness, that's still been somewhat true for the Premiership. For the last couple of years with regards to. Sarries and Wasps and Bath at one point. But I mean, if you compare it to, say, the top 14, for instance, the top 14 is basically, it's, granted it is mostly said as a joke, but there is basis in fact in that, in the top 14, the home team wins and the away team loses. And that's not an exclusive, that's not across the board, but it's a very, It's a rule that doesn't have too many exceptions. So the idea that anyone can win.
Did a whole article on this last season.
Oh, if only. Can we bring that up? Did that made it onto the website, didn't it? Wow, this is a miracle. I'm trying to pull it up now to actually have a look at it.
Nah,
I
think we need to wait a little bit. You know what? I'll do the same again around the same time in the season if I can. I think it'll be interesting to compare from one season to another. So just look at all the stats that we looked at last May. So it was about 3 or 4 matches before the end of the season, so almost all of it. And it could be interesting to compare to this season to see if there's any difference. for example, Claremont seems to be doing quite poorly right now because everyone playing is just, has just made it to their 18th birthday.
Fred, you got a party in the background.
A little bit.
A little bit of a party. Talking about stats, so I agree that all of the articles that we have that run stats, I think we should do a little update on. I want to do a kicking one before
another one.
The Six Nations.
Oh.
Well, no, I just want to update the kicking one.
No, you've got to make it a second one and name it like 2.0. It'll be great.
Actually, no, I probably do need to make another one because the one I've got at the moment, all the written stuff's kind of out of date because I was like singing the praises of who was I singing the praises of?
Cipriani?
Probably Madigan or someone, and Madigan's now not in the Irish setup
because he's
and I'm
playing in the Championship.
Yeah, and I'm singing the praises.
Is he?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's playing at Bristol.
Well, Bristol have all the money.
Oh, right.
Well, this is part of the problem. Bristol have so much money as well. They're just spending it and buying all these big players and then just failing miserably to actually get up.
They have fucking Luatua.
Stephen Luatua. He was, if not the next, second row...
He could play 6, he could play at 8.
Barrett.
I mean, he's the,
Wherever
he's just so good.
Just in the
I mean,
forwards.
he's not... Yeah, he's just so good. It's ridiculous that he's playing in a
He
Championship.
was the bench utility player for the All Blacks, and then Bristol were like, yeah, we can give you a lot of money, come to Bristol and play in the Championship. Not even in the Premiership, not in the Pro 14,
Yeah.
the Championship.
It's a bit sad
He's
that
playing
he
against
just said
he's playing
yes.
against Richmond. He's playing against semi-professional players, people who don't get paid full time.
Playing against all black.
Playing against Luatua. I mean, yeah, sure, they probably take it very seriously, but still.
Sorry, there's always been this thing about Richmond, because they're semi-pro and they're really obviously they're quite struggling in the Championship, but they're doing okay.
They're not getting relegated. Yeah.
Technically, my local team.
Have a look at exactly.
Yeah.
But your other local team. Think about London Scottish. They've
London
had
Scottish
so
and
many
London Welsh.
problems. So many times they've been promised players to come from Scotland and then they haven't.
Yeah.
And they still survive. It's that what London Scottish is doing is actually quite amazing.
Why don't
London Scottish have been ignored? They're going to buy Worcester instead.
Here's the
You heard
thing.
about that?
What's with that? It's because Scotland are constant. I'm constantly seeing things about Scotland wanting to expand to a third team, but why don't they use some funds or whatever to develop? Because the amount of English people down here with Scottish grannies or however the loopholes work now, who could be playing for London Scottish.
There's always
Surely
been a
they could
big
develop that and then...
connection, and there's players that think that if they play in the Championship for long enough and they do well in the Championship, they might be picked up by Glasgow or Edinburgh. But
yeah,
the links have just
they've got this huge issue.
never been clear
The
enough.
Scottish are not an immediate prospect because they're in the Championship, and the upgrade to Edinburgh or Glasgow, there's only 30 players space.
Yeah, but think of
they need another top tier.
no,
team.
but their idea was to get, because the Championship is higher than whatever the level is in Scotland, apart from the Pro 14 teams.
The Premiership,
The point was that they could use London Scottish as a development team in a different setup, get them in a different world as well to sort of see what they can do, but the links have just never really seemed to work. And sometimes London Scottish have had loads of players and then suddenly they have no one, and it's just been really difficult for them. I'm quite amazed that they're still playing decent rugby.
No, I agree with you on the London Scottish front. But they were looking at trying to buy Worcester as well.
Yeah, that's the Scottish,
the SRU.
yeah.
The SRU were looking at buying Worcester, which I thought was because Worcester's up for sale. They're in the Premiership. There's a possibility. I mean, the only issue is that Worcester's it's a bit of a rubbish location, to be honest. I mean, it's a bit of nowhere.
Well, it's right next to Gloucester and Bath, so why
Gloucester? I will say I have played the odd rugby match in Gloucester, playing for a Bristol team, and it's horrible.
Are you saying that look at where the other teams are? They're in fucking Northampton and Coventry.
No, I know, but it's Worcester.
My point is everywhere
it's
is a
just
shithole.
farming. I mean, London. I think there's two issues, right? They need London Scottish to be in the Premiership, which isn't going to happen
that's
without
never
them.
going to happen.
Without them investing, exactly. Without them investing a lot of money, or they need to buy somewhere that has good connections to a player base. And apparently Worcester is a good option because it's for sale. That's basically
but are there any? Is there a Scottish sort of community there? Like, you can't just make these things up.
Not really. They're gonna have to. They'll have to force it. If they did buy it, they'll have to force it pretty hard. But they could. It's possible.
They even have the same nickname as Glasgow.
Warriors.
Yeah.
The Warriors. Worcester Warriors. Glasgow Warriors.
Edinburgh.
Also, what's with the nicknames, right? There was this big hullabaloo in cricket recently, and neither of you listen or watch cricket particularly, as far as I'm aware.
I have watched it.
I only watch sport.
Oh. There was a massive hullabaloo about cricket teams changing from being a regional name to being a generic name like Chiefs or Blues or the Australian or New Zealand way of doing things, where they've taken the name out of the region and just put like a branding on it. Like, everybody went crazy over it. Like,
End of the
like
world.
they were having something torn out of their hearts that they would never be able to identify as a Blue, because how would they know that they were from Auckland? Like,
This is you say this. I've heard this from I wouldn't want to name names. Some Cardiff Blues supporters being adamant that if they ever got their name changed, they'd want. Wait, hang on. They'd want to be Cardiff rather than Blues. I think that's right.
They never want to be known as just the Blues.
Yeah, because they want to. But that's because Cardiff was always. It's meant to be a region, but it's the colours of Cardiff Rugby Football Club, and that's why people in I can't remember the name of it. Is it Pontypridd? However it's pronounced, refuse to support the Blues despite the fact that they're in the region, because it's actually just Cardiff RFC being shown, like, being presented as a region. So to them it isn't their region and they won't support them.
So here's another thing. CC agrees with everything we've said.
Wait, what?
Also, he put a thumbs up that he likes the Welsh squad
selection. Yeah.
Yeah,
I disagree. I think he's lying to us, because Dan Fish wasn't selected. So how can he possibly be happy?
Dan Fish
More
wasn't
importantly,
selected.
he's not
also,
listening to us.
Was Josh Adams put into the backs, not the forwards? What's that about?
Oh, I've got something as well. Did you see the Scottish squad?
Oh yeah, this is the funniest thing. The Scottish squad, when it was released, everyone is listed in alphabetical order except the last name on the sheet.
Exactly.
Because clearly Velicott was going to be selected for Scotland, but he's just been called up by Eddie Jones, so they had to replace his name on the team sheet.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's been on the sub.
Brutal.
It's really interesting that somebody spotted that, the alphabetical order thing. That's brilliant.
That's actually quite brutal.
Because you know what's really annoying?
I think it's actually a little bit unfair. I suppose he gets the choice.
I think it's really. I can sympathise with people getting grumpy in one of the threads, because it's in, what was it, the last. Do you have a child, Fred?
Yep.
Oh, right.
Fred, do you want? I need to wrap up as well.
All right. No, very briefly, because the last time there was whatever the training squad was announced, whatever it was, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was the only 2 scrum halves listed were Kerr and Youngs, and it's just getting a bit tedious for Jones to keep on selecting Kerr and Youngs and not actually blooding a third scrum half in the shape of, say, Robson or Spencer. And so when it finally comes time...
Chudley can make the step up whenever he wants.
Or Chudley, or whoever it was that played in Argentina last summer. But when it finally comes time to pick a third scrum half for our Six Nations campaign, he just nicks the one that Scotland were going to use. I think is such a weird... I don't know whether it's a mind games or whether it's something else, but it's just bizarre.
Oh, I agree. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I had to step out. We've got to wrap up. This has been too long, eh?
I blame you for bringing up all that controversy crap at the beginning.
Oh my god, I've realised, right, so if anyone's made it this far, you're an absolute saint.
Yeah, so hi Harbour,
I've got block nose, and yeah, literally the only people who contribute to the podcast have made it this far.
And that's optimistic.
Yeah. I have no idea what to title it. Our best pods are the ones that focus on one topic for 45 minutes and then stop.
We'll do that next week then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you do
we
that
will
for
do-
6
I- we
nations.
will promise-
Unlikely I'll have any time next
Yeah.
week. So
We will just talk about one topic next week. I was thinking a lovely properly scheduled Monday podcast.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying, let me get this right, you're saying that the Monday podcast should come out or be recorded on a Monday?
It
that
does
is
seem to
ridiculous.
follow.
What kind of crazy logic is that?
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
it's-
agree.
Blowing minds.
Yeah.
Right. I'm also quite glad that you guys didn't agree with me blindly on certain things, because it is nice to be told I'm an idiot occasionally.
Which if we didn't, I don't believe any of us called you an idiot. We might do later on,
Well,
but it's nice
on.
to have different perspectives and different point of views. So
I'm gonna because Fred's gonna do an updated stats thing. I'm gonna link the game has gone soft underneath this podcast.
tell you the truth, I might listen back to what I said earlier on and decide that I actually don't agree with what I said at all. So it you never know.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna listen to this on YouTube and then comment I disagree with that Sav bloke. He's talking nonsense.
Finally, someone of reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been Linebreak Rugby. I've been Sav.
I've been Ed.
And I'm still Fred.
He's been Ed.
Still am, yeah.
And he's still Fred. And the one moment that proved that you're a Frenchman is that you forgot the word carpet.
Yeah.
Maybe he meant
That's
rug.
amazing.
You know.
We shouldn't mock because I can't speak French.
Yeah, fuck off.
But it was an amazing moment of not knowing what the word carpet was.
I just forgot.
Brilliant. What's that soft stuff?
I think
I
I
was
was a
quite
little bit
surprised
more
I got it
precise.
right. I thought he meant something else for a brief moment, and like,
I thought you meant like
No, I meant
astroturf
carpet.
or something. He did mean carpet. He did mean like the red carpet.
what's
yeah.
the French word for carpet?
I can't remember.
To be honest, it just made me assume that Fred has hardwood floors all over his house.
I've
you
got a
walked-
carpet here because I'm in fucking England.
If you walked into a house in France,
Is it just
or
hardwood?
You wouldn't,
like,
no,
what
you
would
wouldn't have carpet because we're a bit more advanced.
Do I have carpet in? No, every time I've been to France, I can't remember having carpet. Actually, I'm assuming they do.
No, we have too much.
This took a
haven't been
weird turn.
I haven't been.
You
to
better
a
be
lot of
playing the
places.
music over this bit, Sav.
Do. I'm never going to sync it
No,
up.
you know what
Right,
it is?
Shall we stop?
It's
We'll stop our
yeah.
recordings.
You know with in like interview shows or breakfast shows or whatever, when it comes to the ad break, and then the host just has a chat with the
Oh
guest.
right, yeah.
That's
you
basically
can't hear what they're saying. But
this
you can see their
turns
lips
into
moving.
when the credit music should be playing.
You know we're not
It
filming.
names
Yeah.
shit about carpets. Say again.
I'll add in like some sort of compilation of people just mouthing words
Yeah.
on the screen.
So should I stop recording then?
Yeah, I'll stop as well.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.